6:23, and port leaders are anticipating some rough waters this summer. Figuratively speaking, they're seeing a drop in cargo, which could affect consumers. Perla Sheehan from Scripps News Group explains why the CEO of the Port of Long Beach continues this waiting game.
This terminal at the Port of Long Beach is normally filled with vessels carrying in imports like electronics and furniture, but the port's CEO tells me their top importer has been sending less items overseas as leaders wait for some certainty with tariffs. Most of the items you use every day traveled thousands of miles inside metal containers on these giant vessels to end up here. The neighboring ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach handle nearly half of the nation's imports, so it's the right spot to start the conversation on tariffs.
International trade, I've always said, begins at a port.
Mario Cordero is the CEO of the Port of Long Beach. He says last year was one of the busiest on record for both ports, and this quarter was even more successful. But that's about to come to a halt.
We're in a situation of radical uncertainty. I've never seen a tariff policy at the level that we've been experiencing and the changes in such a short time.
The Port of Los Angeles is reporting that overall cargo numbers decreased by more than 20% this past month. Cordero says Long Beach numbers dropped by around 15%. This could mean less product inventory at shops and higher costs for the American consumer.
I think what we do expect is there will be a tariff, and which will cause some higher prices. And again, the only question is, how high are those prices going to be and what the consumer is going to tolerate?
Cordero says businesses imported items from Southeast Asian countries under the first Trump administration to avoid tariffs that were in place on China. Now they'll have to depend on U.S. manufacturing, which could cost shoppers even more.
What control as Port CEO do you have over this situation?
What we do have is basically a podium to express concerns. If there's any disruption to the supply chain or potential disruption to a supply chain, all eyes are on this port complex.
Cordero is raising concerns with policymakers and trade partners, but plans to let the situation play out. He says the economy depends on these ports and they will always stay afloat during unforeseeable change. Perla Sheehan, Scripps News Group.